Thank you, Willie. I always love to hear that. Anytime Willie Nelson says my name, it makes me feel good. Thank you, Willie. Appreciate that. I'll tell you, folks, today is March the 3rd, and we're live on the radio. But we're not really live today, and I'll tell you why. It's because I'm serving out time in drunk college. I'm going to drunk college tonight. So while this is being aired, I'm in drunk college. I have another 48 to go, I think. No, 49 to go. I have to do 52. Driving and drinking is not a good plan, folks. Didn't work out too well for me. I don't recommend it. There are fines involved. There's jail time involved. There's all these courses involved. And of course, there's that, besides being incarcerated, then you serve no carceration. And what is that? No carceration? Well, what's the root word of no carceration? N-O-C-A-R. No car. When you have 2 DUIs, they won't even let you have a tag on a car that you own. You can't even have a car that you own and you've paid the insurance and the taxes and the tag and everything, and maybe have your neighbor drive you. No, they take your tag away from you. So you don't have anything to drive. No carceration. But anyway, that's where I'm at right now while you're listening to this. And I'm going to tell you a quick little story here, because they ask us in drunk college, what's on your bucket list? What's something that's on your bucket list? Everybody knows what the bucket list is. So I told them that I'd like to fly a Lear jet. I would like to fly a Lear jet. And I can. I've been a pilot since 1970. I have a multi-engine rating and an instrument rating. I can fly it. Just don't have one. So that'd be my bucket list. Just get to fly one time, like a Model 23 or a 24, any of the early Lears. And of course, that I was telling my friend the other day a story about the inventor of the Lear jet, Bill Lear. Now, Bill also invented the car radio. Now, he sold all that out to Motorola, and Motorola, of course, put all the car radios in the cars and all of that. And then later, Bill invented the 8-track stereo tape. Smart guy, this guy. Smart guy. And the Learjet, I think the Learjet, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it was, he converted some military fighter jet over into this type of executive jet type transportation. So I thought it was the Swiss Air Force, but I don't know that the Swiss has an Air Force. I don't know. If it wasn't the Swiss, it was Canadian. Doesn't matter. Look it up. I don't know. But Bill Lear, Learjet, car radio, 8-track tape. And I thought one of the first Learjets that I ever saw up close was Arnold Palmer's Learjet. And I was a golfer, so it was like very important to me that I was actually able to come this close encounters, I guess you would say, with Arnold Palmer. And it came about because I had flown my own 172 Cessna, which is a 4-place high-wing airplane. So kind of a Volkswagen of the sky, really. You know, not a big fancy airplane and not very fast, but you could fly. And I had flown down to Key West. I'd flown down to Key West in this airplane and hung out there for a while, and then was going to fly up to somewhere north, heading up north somewhere. I don't know where we were headed ultimately. Maybe back home, I don't know. But I wanted to stay low over the bridges there coming out of Key West all the way up through there to Miami and all. I wanted to fly low over the bridges and just watch the water and the fishermen, and you could see fish, and it was pretty cool flying along there just like a few 100 feet above the water. And this particular trip was when Richard Nixon was the president. And so Key Biscayne, which is to the, I guess, southeast of like South Beach, you might say, of Miami, that was off limits to planes like mine, any planes other than authorized aircraft. So I had to make sure that I didn't get out there to that restricted airspace. And so I made my turn to the north, and at each airport that I was close to, I tuned into their tower so that I could hear what was going on. So like Miami International, and I got out over the waves. I was over the breakers. And again, just a couple, 300 feet, just, cruising over the breakers, watching the people out there in the surf and stuff. But I listened to Miami's tower, and I listened to Hialeah, Opalaco. I forget exactly the order of those airports going north. But I was listening to every single one of them, just because why? Well, if there was any airplanes in the vicinity that might going to be run over me, I wanted to hear about them, and so I was monitoring those frequencies. And so as I was moving north, I got to, I was tuning into Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport, and I heard them say, Learjet November 1 Alpha Pop, which what that translates into is N is the number that is on all American registered aircraft, and it's that phonetic alphabet. So November is N, and then the number 1 and A for Alpha and Pop for P, I knew was 1AP, Arnold Palmer. Wow. I said, this is pretty cool. So I thought, I got to check this out. And so I just shoved the power in on the Cessna and started climbing and making a left turn, and immediately contacted the tower and said, Fort Lauderdale Executive Cessna 7847 X-ray with you out over the breakers, and request landing advisory, please. And he said, Roger, 7847 X-ray. He said, maintain heading 270 and take up downwind for runway 9. Fine. Actually, I think he said 9, that's how they say it, 9. Fine, so I'm going down through there, and I'm on the downwind for runway 9. And I see the Learjet landing down there below me, and I go, well, there's Arnold Palmer. What do you know about that? Or at least it's his jet. And so I went ahead and landed, and taxied over to this. It was a Phillips 66 was what it was, a fixed base operation there, and Arnold, it was Arnold. He got out, and 3 or 4 other people got out, and some press came out from inside a little bit. It wasn't a big hoopla, but there was some people there. They knew it was Arnold Palmer, and they gassed him up there and did some stuff. And I didn't go over to harass him or to glom on him or anything like that. I just was from afar. I was enjoying this. And he loaded up into the Learjet there, and I tuned to ground control. And, of course, now I knew it was Arnold flying his own jet. I mean, maybe everybody doesn't know that, but Arnold flew his own jet. And that was it. That's the one, 1AP. So I hear Arnold Palmer come on and say, Fort Lauderdale Executive Ground, Learjet November 1 Alpha Pop with you, ready to copy. They said, Roger. Executive Ground Control, 1AP. You're cleared as filed. He was giving him an instrument flight plan. Cleared as filed to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and that's Arnold's home. It's where they make Rolling Rock beer. So this was cool. Arnold was going home. And he said, cleared via Victor 4, Victor something else. Victor was kind of a highway in the sky. V for Victor. It was like V4 was just a straight shot between two of these VOR stations, which that gets technical, but very high frequency omnidirectional range stations. That's what they are. And it's the kind of, when you're flying on a beam, so to speak, as they used to say. It's altogether different now. It's altogether, ain't nothing like it used to be. This is a long time ago. But anyway, gave him his clearance. He read the clearance back, and I thought, boy, how cool is this? Here's old Arnold Palmer, and he's flying, and I'm flying, and of course he's a better golfer than I am, and had a better airplane too. It's like, good for you, Arnold. Yes, sir. Anyway, so they finished his clearance, and they said, contact the tower, 119.9 or something. And so he contacts the tower and said, like, Executive Tower, November 1AP with you, ready for takeoff. They said, Roger. 1AP said, cleared his file to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, Victor 4, blah, blah, blah. And you're clear for takeoff. And I watched him take off, and then I heard him be handed off to Jacksonville Center, and that was the end of me hearing about Arnold Palmer on that particular flight. And off he went home to Latrobe, Pennsylvania. So anyway, another time I saw a Learjet, was in Lexington at I forget the fixed base operation. It was across the field from where Bomer Flying Service was, and I don't remember what they called it. But this was in, I believe, 73, and I just flew over there one day just to be flying, and there I taxied up, and there was the Learjet sitting there, and it had a red carpet rolled out from it, and I go, wow, that's cool. Wonder who this is. And so I just kind of sat over and had me a cup of coffee, and I was waiting to see who it was. And here comes two big old black Cadillac limousines, all windows blacked out and everything. They came rolling up. And I don't know, there's 8 or 10 kind of long-haired, leather jacket wearing, jean wearing, cowboy boot wearing, kind of hippie looking characters got out. And so one of them, he walked over and he sat down on the what they call the air stair there of the jet. You know, it had kind of opens, kind of clamshell opens in a way, like however you want to call it there, and makes the stairs to go up in. The side of the airplane folds down, you know. And so this guy was sitting on the air stair, and he opened up a briefcase. And I'm not kidding. It was full of money. And it wasn't wrinkled up money, just all tossed in there. This looked like it was a bank robbery. The money was all neat and banded up and very well done, let me say. And it was level. It was level. It wasn't heaping in there, but it was level with the bottom part of this fairly deep briefcase. I mean, I'm saying there was 3 inches of money, okay? Maybe 3 inches of money, something like that, maybe more. And I see this guy, this long-haired, rock and rollin' looking dude there. He counted out $600 to one of the Learjet captains. Here's these two guys standing there, the two Learjet captains, and they had on their white shirts and their black ties and their bus driver-like hats and their little uniformy looking things. And he counted out, I know it was $600 because I heard him. I was only 10, 15, 20 feet away, just sitting right there close. I mean, it's like a filling station for airplanes at airport, you know, for private airplanes and things. That's what it is. We're just all hanging out there. $600. And so then 3 or 4 more plus this guy gets in the Learjet, and the pilots roll up the red carpet, put it in the Learjet. They close up the air stair and all that, and they start up the Learjet, and they go taxiing off and take off. And now I'm going, well, I wonder who this is anyway. And well, it was the James Gang. This was Joe Walsh's band, the James Gang. And they said, yeah, man, said they played out at University of Kentucky at the Memorial Coliseum, I think they called that basketball place before they built Rupp Arena. First place I ever saw Three Dog Night, too. So, yeah, that's they played over there and made $20,000. Now, I'll tell you, from when he counted out 600, it didn't make much of a dent in any of that. So there was more than 20,000 in this briefcase, I assure you. So this wasn't just the take from the night before. There was, I don't know what was in there. It was a lot of money. I mean, I don't know that I've ever in my life seen that much real money. I mean, and it was real money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then close it down. And so the James Gang was going to Chicago. That's what it was. They were going to Chicago. So in whatever that was, 73, I guess is what it was. It was $600 for this Learjet trip, and off they went, you see. And then I was thinking of another Learjet story that was kind of sad, really. October the 25th of 1999 was kind of really a sad day, because that morning I was listening to Howard Stern, like I always did, and he made the announcement that he and Allison were divorcing. And I thought, oh no, really? Because I held him in high regard, that he had sort of managed to keep his marriage together, in spite of what sort of, wild public persona that he might have had, that he and his wife were together, and how cool was that, all that time. My parents had been married for a long time. My grandparents had been married for a long time. I was working on a pretty lengthy marriage at the time, so it was kind of, it was sort of core shaking there to find out that morning that everything you thought you knew about old Howie wasn't exactly there. It's like it was trouble, And but anyway, later in the morning, I was listening to the show that came on after that. This was in Orlando, in the Orlando, Florida area, and it was the Monsters of the Midday. And the Monsters of the Midday, they had a guy on there, his name was Dirty Jim. And Dirty Jim came in, and he was a sports guy. He was a baseball player, and he was a golfer and everything. And he came in and said, one of those, "This just in." And he announced that there was a Learjet that was flying along on its own up in the sky on autopilot, apparently, and apparently everybody in it wasn't alive anymore, and it was going to crash somewhere, and this is a big mess, and they thought maybe that it was even a famous golfer on board. And it turns out it was. Turns out it was Payne Stewart, who had just won the United States Open in just an amazing finish, and against Phil Mickelson. And then this airplane, this Learjet, it crashes. It crashed in a big way. And what stands out to me in that is that when it came down in a field up in North Dakota or South Dakota, I think, it left a big hole in the ground, like that Shanksville hole that we've been shown and things. But there's a difference, though. There was parts everywhere. Seats, cell phones, body parts, all kind of stuff here and there. All kinds of mess. I remember looking at all that. I was interested in that because I like Payne Stewart. And I'd seen him play golf and watched him play golf on television and played where he was playing. I'd played the course in Orlando with my brother, the very last place that he ever played, golf. So anyway, that's my Learjet stories. And folks, we're going to play a song here. It's called Naked Women Smoking Marijuana. It's 420, folks. Throw one back and fire one up. It's 420 in Nashville, Tennessee, anyway.